What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. And if you're new, welcome. I'm CJ, but it's 2025 and we're getting started on the major bike project. Check it out. I got everything laid out, ready to be sprayed. But yesterday I didn't film anything. I just wanted to get it prepped. So that was a lot of sanding. I was sanding yesterday and today to get everything prepped and ready to go. I really think the longest part was sanding the bottom of the saddlebags because I had to remove the lights and all that gunk and get everything off on. So that really took me the longest. Actually, yeah, I did. But I had to fix a few spots on the saddlebags from rock chips. They're a little old, so I'm actually excited because I am painting everything at once this time, not in pieces. Everything's gonna flow. But let me kind of show you the parts real quick. So I sanded everything down with 600 grit and then went over it with a pad just to make sure I got into the small little areas and no glossy spots left on the parts. Now the bags, I had to do a little bit different because it had some really rough spots. So I tried to smooth all that out. Now that being on the bottom, you really ain't gonna see it, but the sides that were really deep gouges, I had to try to smooth that out. Now that one I really couldn't because I didn't want to remove too much material and break the bags. So I'm hoping with the primer it'll fill in some more, but that's really it. But everything is looking good and ready for paint adhesion, and then let that sit for primer. This ain't your ideal paint booth, but it works for me. Now, later on, I do want to get a blow-up one where I can keep it a lot cleaner and not worry about possible debris getting in my paint. But let's get busy painting because it's going to take a couple of days to get all this done. But I'm using 2K products out of a gun. That way, a lot better quality. So, let's get busy.
They call me insane, can't take me away. Out of the ashes, here for the masses, start up the game. I live in the flames, it burns in my veins. Path of destruction, leave you with nothing, bringing the pain. You'll never know what it's like to lay it all out on the line. Watch as we tear through the sky. You won't take me alive. You won't take me alive. No, no. You won't take me alive.
On most of the parts, I got 2 coats of the primer sealer, and it went on smooth for most of the parts except for one. So I stopped on that one part. I didn't even add any more. So I'm gonna let everything dry because some of the previous color is still showing through on a few parts and a few areas. So I wanna go back, let that dry, and hit it with 600 grit, smooth that out, and then add another coat, maybe 2 on those parts, but definitely the part that only has 1, I wanna add 3 coats of primer sealer. So as you can see, it's raising in a few spots. I must have had some oil or something I didn't get off the bag completely when I was trying to get all that stickiness off. But I'd rather have this happen at the primer stage and stop with 1 coat instead of having to sand all 3 coats off. So I did not continue on with this one bag. But everything else is looking great. It definitely, this bag, I mean, it looks amazing in my opinion. I did get a run in the tank on, let me see if I can show you guys, kind of down in that area. You might be able to see it. But the biggest part is some of the lines. I don't know if it's going to show up in camera. There, you can see, yeah. Where that's showing up, that's what I want to eliminate. Now, you can't see any of the previous color, but I definitely want to get rid of those lines that are showing through, and it's hard to kind of show you guys. That's better now that the air compressor is off. You guys can hear me. But I gotta fix those errors now and not continue on because it's just not gonna look great with those lines showing, the paint peeling, and I might have another spot on the other bag. I'm just kind of now noticing. But that's kind of where I stopped at 2 coats, even on all the other parts, because I'm not thinking adding another coat's going to completely hide those lines. So go back, sand it with 600 grit, smooth it all out, then hit it with another 2 coats, 3 on the other bag, and it should be good at that point to let it fully cure for a day. Now, I could shoot it after an hour once I get all the coats on. I prefer to actually come back after it's fully cured a day or so and hit it with 600 grit, then shoot the color and so on and so on. But you're probably wondering, where do I get my paint? I go to the coating store, I order it online. They got great prices, in my opinion, than some of the other stores, and it's not bad paint. I don't go to AutoZone, O'Reilly's, anything like that. I like quality paint, and so far I've been using the paint from the coating store quite a while now, and I really like the quality of it. But we're gonna come back in a day or so. Alright guys, back in the shop after getting the silver on and the clear coat, because when I sprayed the silver, I just had enough to do these parts. I was a little bit worried about that because I didn't really want to order no more silver, and luckily it went on great. Now, putting the clear coat on, I do have a few flaws in just a few parts, but I got to address those. Let me show you the flaws. Now, here's some of the flaws in the outer fairing. Now, this is the worst of all the parts, but that's got to be addressed. As you can see, all around this area is pretty bad. I tried to address it, and it didn't start happening until I applied the clear coat. I did get a few runs in the outer fairing and a few other parts, not all of them. So that's telling me I need to adjust my fluid level in the gun so that way it does not happen in the final clear coat. I did get some orange peel, but I'm going to take 600 grit to all the parts, smooth it out so that way the tape has something to stick to as well. But everything else looks amazing. And got a little bit of run right here and on the sides. Now, for somebody who does not paint on daily and for a living, I still think the parts came out looking amazing. Got to fix those areas on the outer fairing because I'm afraid it is going to chip. It might not do it right away, but once it starts actually drying and being out in the sun, I'm afraid it's going to chip and cause more areas to chip away than just those little areas. But I'm going to fix that. And luckily, like I just said, I'm not keeping silver there. I don't have no more silver. But that's a lot of reason why I put the clear coat on top of it to help protect it, sand everything smooth, start taping, start from the outer fairing and work my way through each part. So let's get going because I'm excited to show you the other 2 colors that I'm going with. So let's get busy. Now I can finally show you the next color that's going on. It's supposed to be a dark blue, so it's a forward impact blue metallic base coat. Now, I haven't seen it in person or sprayed any yet, so all I know is from the pictures, but I think it's gonna look amazing no matter what. Now we can actually start mixing up the paint and spraying it on the parts, but right before I spray, I need to wipe it down one more time with a tack rag, so that way there's no small debris on those parts, because I want it to come out as perfect as possible. I even set up a spot to test my clear coat to make sure it's spraying right. Unlike last time, I didn't do that. That was my mistake, and got a few runs and a little bit of orange peel that I had to sand out. I don't really want to have to deal with that this time and waste too much clear coat, because I have very limited right now, and I want to get 3 coats of clear on these parts. The more clear I can put on there and need to sand down and smooth out, the better. But you don't want to overdo it, because then you can also lead to runs and adhesion problems. So let's get to it, guys. Well, guys, I was afraid of not having enough clear coat to put 3 coats on. I was only able to get 2 coats on all the parts, but I still didn't have the gun optimized to spray out like I wanted to. And the other thing is being in this building and not having enough light, because I get in some dark areas of spraying and can't really tell if I'm spraying too heavy or too light on the parts. I mean, even with these lights, adding more lighting, because if I turn them off, let me show you. I mean, I even have the door open right now and it's starting to get dark, but let me show you what it looks like. There you go. Now that I have the lights off, you can see how dark it is in this room. Even with the lighting all around, it's not that bright to spray, especially for clear coat, in my opinion. That's why if you look at a professional paint booth, it is very, very bright, because you need to see where you're spraying. And I do run into a few problems with spraying clear coat, but it's fixable. Let me show you the parts and what I'm talking about. Now, I already started sanding down the fairing because I got to fix the spots, but I had some runs here, which I have gotten out, and it looks a lot better. I still have some orange peel in a few spots. Yeah, let me see, kind of like right there, especially on the top, but here's a better spot. You can kind of see in this area, I still have to smooth that out, but other than that, it's starting to look really, really good. I think a lot of the parts do look amazing. Now the bags, you can really tell. Right here, I gotta get that orange peel out. There's some runs right here. Not all over the bag, but enough to where I'm not gonna be happy with it. Here's some runs. That's a big, big run. You can see all the way across. Ooh, that's terrible. That is terrible. Other than the runs and the orange peel, I think the parts look sick in my opinion. So I'm gonna show you all the parts, kind of what all went on. I think the tank looks absolutely amazing. I did have some bleed through onto the silver from the blue where the vinyl wasn't stuck all the way, but I think it adds a little bit of character in a spot right there. But other than that, I think they just look absolutely amazing. And there is a reason why I did a lot more black on the parts, which I'm not gonna reveal right now, guys, but I think they just look sick because I wanted the black on top and to the rear fender. And once you actually see what rear fender is going on there, you'll know exactly why I did more black toward the inside. But just check those parts out. I think they just look amazing. I think it looks like a professional paint job because I am definitely not professional. But once I get them all sanded back down, all those runs, the orange peel, because I only have 2 coats of clear, and then at that point, I'm looking at really 1 coat to probably half a coat of clear. I am going to spray some more clear coat because, again, I like to have at least 3 to almost 4. And the other reason is by doing this, by sanding it all out, you won't feel the tape lines between the last clear coat and the new clear coat. So that way it's all completely flat. So that's what I got to do right now is get all these parts sanded because the saddlebags are going to take a little bit to put back together. Well, guys, after several hours of sanding, I think I got all the orange peel out except maybe a few spots that I got to go back and sand down. Then I still got to scuff all the parts. Now, I'm not going to re-clear coat the parts today because the cold front's coming in tonight and through this week. And I'd rather have all the parts sit for a couple of days, really let that clear coat dry, and then go back and re-clear it. But if I didn't have as much runs and orange peel, just something with shooting out of that gun, I just didn't get it to the right settings. And the other thing is, again, the lighting in this room makes it hard to see. So if I'm going to do any more painting, I need to look at some better lighting, maybe add a few more lights in the corners. So maybe 5 more lights in here because a good paint room needs a lot of lighting and there's too many dark spaces in this room for painting. I can see the colors going on fine, but when it comes to the clear coat, that's where my issue comes in. So when I re-clear, I probably do it right during the day, have the door open to get more lighting in here and be able to see a little bit better. It was just not available at the time because it was dark and trying to clear this stuff. So that way I didn't have to come back and re-scuff and shoot it again. But with the sanding, and I'll show these spots to you, I did sand through a few spots that I'm going to have to touch up. Now on the saddlebag lids, I wanted to smooth it out. It was a little bit bumpy and I really sanded through a few areas, but I'll get the airbrush out when I'm going to re-clear it, touch those spots up, shoot it. And that way all the parts have a good 3 to 4 coats of clear. After that, I'm still going to cut it with 1500, 2000, and then polish it to give it that final shine and make sure there's no orange peel. But if I didn't have as much, I could have just hit it with about 1500 grit, but I wanted to hit it with 600 and put at least 1 more coat of clear. But let me show you the parts. So as you can see, all the parts are sanded down. And I'm still seeing a few spots I gotta go back and touch up and sand it smooth so it don't show through the final clear. And again, I'm having to let the parts dry and try to see it with as much lighting as I have in here. I might just pick up a few more lights before I even do the next clear. But I think they look amazing, and they're gonna look amazing when they're done. I mean, they absolutely turned out looking great in my opinion. Leave me a comment down below what you think. Well guys, since I gotta wait a few days to put that final clear coat on it and then cut and buff, I'm gonna call it, but there's still gonna be a lot more to come with this full build series. So follow along, hit that subscribe button, like button, notification bell, so you get the full build, and I'm gonna be putting it into a playlist for this year. But you now know what colors I went with and the paint scheme that is going on the bike. But I hope you guys have a good one, and I'll see you guys next time.